What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today for a look back of the wonderful year of 2022. A little year in review. Going to take a little bit of a different approach to this one. What I have up here on the screen is my YouTube analytics page. This is sorted by most viewed videos in 2022. Top 10 anyway. And I figured we would just kind of look at this list and kind of just have a loose chat about the year that was in 2022. It is very intriguing. And we'll look at 2021 as well. It was very interesting to look at the top performing videos for me in 2022 versus 2021, both from a views standpoint in terms of number of views that videos were getting, and also I guess narrative is the word that we will use. 2022, I think, was definitely the year of, I guess, negativity, if that's what you want to call it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a lot of different ways. We saw it right from the beginning of the year with the Mark's card scandal. We saw it with prices constantly going down, with companies doing shady things, people doing shady things, all sorts of stuff. And it has really been highlighted a lot this year because it drives a lot of engagement. It does. That's what you guys and girls like to see, is drama. And the hobby has given us drama this year. That was the biggest thing that jumped out at me in regards to content from 2021 to content to 2022. So let's just kind of run through these really quickly. This is 2022 content. And this was, once again, the whole year. My number one viewed video in 2022 was the very first Spider-Man Metal Universe box opening that I posted. I put that up day one that the product came out. That video performed extremely well. Fun product to rip. Box prices have come down a little bit, but are still floating, I think, around the $5 to $5.50 mark. Just kind of depending. I haven't checked them in about a week or two. But fun product, had a blast around that product, and it performed very well on the channel as well. It was tons of interest around Spider-Man Metal. That was my number one video. My number two video was a short. I'm not really counting shorts for the purposes of this. My real number two video was the blaster box opening that I did. Same thing. I got lucky and found those in the wild and kind of had a video up before most other people. That one got 11,000 views. Now we get into, so that was kind of positive. Hey, let's open some fun, cool new product. And 20,000 views for a box opening product for me is way out of line. Typically, a box opening product for me might get a couple thousand views, maybe 3,000, maybe 4,000 if I got a really catchy thumbnail, but usually probably between 2,000 and 3,000 typically. So the fact that, two different Spider-Man videos got about 35,000 views between them, for my channel anyways, is actually pretty good. And then in the fourth slot on this, third slot in reality, we start getting into the nonsense this year. And it was very early on in the year. This video came out in January, and that is the Mark's card situation. Kind of the really first negative thing that we had in the year. And that was kind of where it's like, you could see the cracks in the foundation. Really the first big story of the year, and I don't actually think, no, that did not make the top 10. Did not make the top 10. Was the Topps getting acquired by Fanatics. Probably the biggest story in the year when you really think about it, which is how big of a monumental shift that will ultimately end up being. Fanatics kind of coming in and owning that space after they acquired the licenses, and then coming in and acquiring Topps. Ultimately was probably the biggest story of the year, but the tone of the year was definitely the cracks in the foundation with a bunch of shadiness and nonsense going on throughout the industry and industries, both in the sports card space, the comic book space. We've seen it in other spaces as well. Right after that, fifth, 86 Fleer basketball sealed box. The one that Sports Card Radio called out, the one that was open at the National on stage live, that a lot of people questioned after the fact. And then it ended up looking like there was some shenanigans that went down with that box. And then obviously all the BBCE drama that went around with that. But we are not done with them as we move throughout this list. Next up is a clip from a live stream from Spider-Man Metal box openings. This is the third appearance of Spider-Man Metal on the list. This video got 8,500 views. It's only a 2-minute long video. But it is the pack that my friend Steven Scandell opened live with me and Justin, aka Spidey Hits, where he hit 4 PMGs in one box and 3 came out of one pack. One of the most, in terms of moments of the year, there are 2 that really stick out to me in regards to things being a witness to. That was one of them. The second one was when Alonzo pulled his AF-15 comic cut. That was not done on my channel. That was done over on Justin's channel, but I was live on that live stream when that happened as well. That was awesome to see one of those pulled virtually in person, I guess, for lack of a better term. After that one, back to drama, and I honestly forgot this happened. I really did. There was a big PSA trimming scandal back in May. This is exactly what I talk about. How many, we yell, whether it's PSA or whatever, like we talk about, oh my God, I can't believe so-and-so or such and such did this. This is the end of everything. Oh my goodness. I legitimately forgot this happened. And I cover this stuff every day. How many of you remember this? Back in May, there was a big trimming scandal around Contenders football that I think Blowout, Detectives on Blowout, I remember Card Porn made a big deal about it, did a bunch of investigation on this, where a bunch of Contenders football autos were being trimmed because the QC was so bad. People were trimming them, sending them in, getting PSA 9s and 10s, and then reselling them. And it was a big deal at the time. And I honestly kind of forgot all this went down. I really did. When I was reviewing this list, I'm like, oh, that's right. That was this year. But that's like a perfect example. Like, I forgot that happened. And I bet you, I'm willing to bet, most of you forgot that that was this year. It was a long year. When you really think about it, I mean, the Topps Fanatics thing went down right at the beginning. And then that was followed up by Mark's Cards. There was just a lot of stuff that happened this year. And when you go way back and like really think about it, like how crazy long this year really feels when you go back and start thinking about some of the stuff that happened. After that, in the number 8 slot, we have the Logan Paul video, the case, the $3.5 million case of G.I. Joe cards. That was back in January. Once again, right at the beginning of the year. I forgot that was at the beginning of the year. I knew that it happened this year. I forgot it was that early in the year that all went down. And once again, calling BBC into question. I mean, that was obviously a massive story when all that happened. And then, he bought the case and then all the investigation around that. And then, Rattle Pokemon did his thing. And then is this thing even real? And then deciding to open it and then it not being real. And then on top of that, it being G.I. Joe cards, which were a running joke on this channel for a really long time. Because I had bought a box of G.I. Joe cards dirt cheap and had always threatened to open it. And then I think I did on the 1-year anniversary of the channel on a live stream, maybe the 2-year anniversary. I don't remember. So G.I. Joe cards were always kind of loosely tied to the channel. And then for that to get opened up and have it be G.I. Joe cards inside was just absolutely wild times. And then after that, it was just a PSA news video about some upcoming changes that they had coming up. And then a short from the Logan Paul thing. And that's actually a short that I made. It's a clip of Logan Paul. It's a clip of the Prism box from the National. And it's a clip of, because the other thing that happened this year was I personally got scammed on that box of 90 MU. Now, I bought that in 2020 or 2021, but I opened it this year. And that box of 90 MU was full of D&D packs. The famous "I got" quote. That was this year too. Once again, absolutely wild year when you really think about it. And this isn't even, like I said, this is just the top 10. There's way more stuff than this that went down this year, but it was kind of interesting to kind of couch it in what my top 10 performing videos were. So 3 of them, well, there's really 8 here. 3 of the 8 were Spider-Man metal related, so Marvel card related, non-sports card related. One was a PSA news video, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 were drama related, and really 5 because the one short was drama related in regards to people getting scammed or whatever. And that was, like I said, that was really kind of the story of the year. I mean, obviously, the sports card market itself, prices have shifted down on most cards. I'll cover like some specific price drops and stuff like that in a video later this week. I think what I actually might do is, instead of the normal weekly sports card market update this weekend, I may do like a yearly market update and look at some of the stuff that's gone up and down the most in the last year. I typically would break that out into their own individual videos, but since it's on a Sunday and it just kind of lines up perfectly and I might be able to record it ahead of time, I might look to doing that. If not, I'll just do a regular and I'll still end up doing something around that. But the other big crazy thing that happened this year was none of these videos reached the top 10 level on this list. And once again, this feels like it was forever ago, but peak Marvel card prices were at the very beginning of this year. That was January, February, March, when Marvel cards peaked to the absolute moon, and then have obviously pulled back a ton since then. They're still not back to their original levels, but some have definitely come way, way down for sure. But that was the beginning of this year. You know, that was at the Atlanta Card Show. It was kind of like the peak of the market, or right around that time when Marvel stuff was really popping off. But that feels like it happened years ago, in all honesty. And that was literally 10 months ago, 11 months ago that all went down. Which, once again, it just kind of goes to show like how long this year really feels when you start kind of working through these stories and thinking about these different things and how far away some of them feel. Like the Marvel card stuff feels like it happened forever ago. Some of my personal favorite moments of the year, the Atlanta Card Show was an absolute blast. That was the first time I got to meet a lot of people in person. Obviously, I met a lot of people at the National in Chicago the year before, but a lot of the Marvel card community was at the Atlanta show. I got to meet Charles Fuchs for the first time, Norrin, Justin, a bunch of other people from the Marvel community. I got to meet for the first time in person. And that was a lot of fun. Just, you know, the social stuff, I get it. You know, the cards brought us here, but the social stuff that we all do is really rewarding. And some of my best moments of the entire year are the social aspects. The Atlanta Card Show really sticks out as a really, I had a ton of fun there. The National in Atlantic City, obviously, as much as Atlantic City was a drag. I mean, one of my favorite moments of the year, I complain about it all the time and don't let Flipping Steve know this. When we went for a walk on the boardwalk at like midnight, me, him, and my wife, and all we wanted was a slice of pizza, and he said it was just right down. It was, hey, it's right at the end of this row of things, and like 5 miles later, we're still looking for the pizza place, and I wanted to kill him. It sucked. I was beat. I was tired. My legs didn't want to work anymore. I probably had COVID. I don't even know, but it was still one of my favorite moments of the year. Like, we just had a ton of fun hanging out that night, roaming around, and him getting us semi-lost on the streets, the mean streets of Atlantic City. But a bunch of other moments from AC, you know, dinners with people and hanging out with Ryan from Gemrate and some conversations in hotels. And I remember me and Ken from My Slabs had a super late night conversation about Transformers in the lobby of the Borgata. Just like wild stuff like that were some of the real standouts of the year. And like I said earlier, you know, hanging out with people on live streams for some of those polls and just in general. Some of the collaboration live streams are a lot of fun. I like when I get or am part of like the wide ranging panels of random guests. Sometimes they don't necessarily think they would all fit together when you got like a comic book guy and a card guy on in the same stream, but sometimes it just works. And some of those are really, really fun. And then some of the chats had behind the scenes, and just a crazy year, you know, just a very crazy year and that sort of stuff. So where I kind of want to go next with this, just really quickly, I want to compare. I thought it was very interesting looking. So once again, 2021 or 2022 rather, other than the Spider-Man and the Marvel stuff, that kind of represents like the Marvel slice of Marvel was very popular for a good portion of this year in the non-sports card space. And then, like I said, you see a lot of that list weighed down by drama stuff, essentially scams, people getting scammed, whatever you want to call it. When we look at 2021, and the other thing that I want you to pay attention to, because just from a personal perspective in regards to the YouTube channel itself, views this year were down slightly from last year. So last year, and when I'm recording this, there's still like 4 days left in the month, but it's not going to make up the difference. Last year, my channel got 1.5 million views in 2021. In 2022, it had about 1.3 million, I think, 1.2 million, 1.3 million. So it's going to come in a little bit lighter, and subscribers have slowed way down as well. Now, 2021 is weird because the beginning of 2021 was when it was in its peak and everything was still going crazy. But I think on the channel, I gained about 3,000 new subscribers this year, which is about half of what I gained in 2021, which is to be expected. You kind of level up and you kind of hit a plateau, and then it really starts to grind out a little bit. But that being said, with the view counts, it was very interesting to see, like, this is 24,000, 15, 11, and then now we're in the 9s and 7s and 8s. When we look at 2021, when I pull this up, at the top is 40,000. That was the most that's my most viewed video on the channel still today. And this is just views in 2021. But then you see 15, 14, 14, 14, 11, 11, 11, 10, and 10. All the videos in 2021 sit 10,000 or more. Now, they have an extra year to marinate, but from a behind the scenes perspective, most of these older videos get like 1 or 2 views a week. Like, it's really slow in some cases. Some of them maybe get a little bit more, like box openings. For example, like this box opening here does pretty well because there's not a lot of that year of box openings on the internet. So it pops up a lot when people search for it. So let's run through these just very, very quickly. It's kind of interesting to see the differences between even just my channel, which is just a slice of the hobby and the collectible space. It's interesting seeing the differences from 2021 to 2022. So 2021, number 1 video, Marvel card video. This is when 90MU took off, most popular video on the channel. I know a lot of people that say this is how they found my channel. I did this February 1st. This was about Marvel trading cards. Next one, PSA price increase. So a news video. Next one was a follow-up trading card video, a box opening, Marvel related once again, grading chit chat video. We have a YouTube short there. Sports card investing, how to get started in 2021. This video was very heavily focused around Star Stock. Whoops. After that, that's when PSA's price increases became official at the beginning of March, when they had that huge price increase and the post office basically shut down. 30 days later, also very well viewed, PSA shuts down all submission levels except for Super Express. That was when PSA said, we're done here, and then shut it down. And then after that, which once again, these types of videos just really don't get made that much anymore. Sports card investing, the time to buy football cards is right now. Probably wasn't in hindsight. That one was the 10th most viewed video of the channel. So what do you see here versus 2021? There is no drama. None. It's Marvel and news. Versus 2022 was Marvel and, for lack of a better term, negative press. Bad things happening in the hobby. From trimming to group submitters gone bad to whatever else you want to submit in there. I know that it didn't make the list, but the Ludkins video performed extremely well. I think it just missed the list. I think it was probably video number 11. Honestly, the video about Ludkins, the other group submitter that just happened fairly recently, that kind of broke bad, that went all Mark's cards. So I just found it very interesting viewing the macro level slice of the hobby through the lens of what content performed the best from 2021 to 2022. I took it one step further just for the hell of it and looked at 2020. Now, my channel started in 2020, middle of 2020. May 2020 is when the channel actually launched. So this is only 6 months worth of views, and I was not posting daily back then either, or near daily. Number 1 video, which is the number 2 video viewed on the channel, is my tips and tricks to finding sports cards at Target and Walmart. That video actually still kind of gets a couple views today. That's where I kind of laid out how to find retail product right when that scene was going crazy. Now we get into 2020 content that performed well. And once again, remember, the channel was smaller back then. is all like, these are the things you should be buying, top 5 things to go buy, invest in this, invest in that, because that was the style of content at the time. If I made a video like this today, I would get murdered for it. Like, just straight out. If I did a top 5 guys to go buy now, I'd probably get killed for it. But back in 2020, this was the content that everyone did. Everyone was making this sort of stuff. I bet you if you go back and watch these, you could probably pick them apart and murder me on dumb stuff that I said back then. But yeah, so sports card investing, NBA market has gone crazy one day into the season. Because I remember that after the first day, that was, we were still, that was the first season post bubble. And, prices were still, this was back in the day when prices were still flying around. My number 3rd most viewed video, NBA offseason targets, part 1. 5 players we should be investing in right now. 6 undervalued basketball cards we should be investing in right now. Here's a PSA news video. This is when they suspended economy service. Sports card investing, 10 NBA players the market forgot about. Best investment on the market right now, sports card investing. This is a funny one. This is actually about card saver ones. Card saver ones and top loaders. This is what this video was about, because the prices have gotten extremely crazy on supplies. Penny sleeve top loaders and card savers got super, super pricey. Investing in Luka on a budget. John Morant injury, that's when he had that really bad looking injury that people thought was going to be very serious. And then a state of the grading. So we have 1, 2, 3 news videos. A how to find retail as 4, and then 6 basically investment style videos. And that was, once again, kind of the content in 2020. That's what you made videos about. I mean, go back, look at all the different content creators were making, I shouldn't say all, I shouldn't paint with that broad of a brush, but a lot of people were making videos like that. It's just, it was very intriguing to kind of go back. And once again, this is a slice of my viewership, my particular channel, but it just kind of really speaks to the overall macro state of the years of the hobby since we've all kind of been back in it. 2020 was the year of invest, spend, let's buy, whatever. 2021 was, Marvel stuff, news stuff. We're still all happy-go-lucky. Things are going kind of okay. And then 2022, or the switch flips. Then you get to 2022, and it's immediately a little bit of Marvel stuff sprinkled in. But then, this person ripping off that person, this person trimming cards, whatever you want to, lump in there. Basically just negativity, nonsense, shenanigans, whatever kind of dominates 2022 along with falling prices. So it was, to me, that was kind of an interesting kind of thing of just kind of seeing like how the different years kind of played out as you moved throughout the last 3 years of the hobby that I've been doing content specifically. So hope this was a little enjoyable walk down memory lane. Like I said, I found this personally interesting. I hope you guys and girls all do too. In the comments down below, I'm curious, what do you think was the biggest story this year? What was it? Was it Topps Fanatics? Was it some of the nonsense? What do you think it was? Like I said, I think a lot of people's first jump is going to be to jump to one of the negative things. I think overall the Topps Fanatics thing is a bigger deal from the long-term side of things. Most of the drama stuff we will forget about, whereas Topps Fanatics is going to be something that carries on for the next 5 or 10 years potentially. Whereas PSA grading some trimmed cards, or a grading company screwing up, or a group submitter screwing up, I don't know that has a lasting impact. Look at the the story about the PSA card trimming thing that I pointed out. I completely forgot that happened. Completely forgot that happened. And like the Mark's card things happened, followed up by the Ludkins thing 9 months later, and people still use group submitters left and right. I mean, Backyard Breaks basically stole a kaboom, borrowed a kaboom from somebody on that Trevor Lawrence thing. People still break with them like crazy. The other big thing, I guess, that I kind of forgot about was, and it didn't rank in the top 10 of my videos, was the whole serial number thing. That was a huge deal too. Guess what? People still buy wax left and right. The serial numbers finding the kabooms on Crown Royale product. Like that whole story was a massive thing as well. So crazy, crazy year when you really sit down and think about all the nonsense that happened this year. But that was our little trip down memory lane, hobby, friends, and family. That is all we have for you guys and girls today. Once again, curious for your thoughts on what do you think the wild or craziest. What's the biggest, most significant thing that happened, and what is the craziest thing that happened? You almost break it down in two categories. So let me know in the comments down below for anyone that hung on this long, and we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.